News network reporter is asking her question. Mr. President, you had promised this week to set new conditions for talks with P5+1. If you please elaborate about that in the first place. Well, thank you for the question. Everyone is informed that talks between Iran and the P5+1 regarding the most important global issues, this was going on for some time. Well, when it came to fuel swap, despite the fact that we are capable of the 20% enriched fuel, in order to kind of move this atmosphere toward further interaction, we came to accept the swap deal. But in talks and negotiations, those who had to, based on law, without any condition, provide Iran actually the fuel needed at the research reactor that produce medicine, those countries set some conditions. Well, those conditions went beyond a fuel swap. Our independence, our rights of our people were targeted. Naturally, those talks did not come to a conclusion. Later on, Mr. Obama asked the respected President of Brazil and the respected Prime Minister of Turkey, Mr. Obama asked those two people officially to intervene and to set the stage for continuation of the talks. When both Americans and their allies repeatedly asked these two respected personalities, and they told them they wanted to inculcate that the Iranian side is not ready for talks in a just and logical atmosphere. They came here in Iran, they faced something that was quite opposite of what they had claimed. The atmosphere in Iran was one of logic, one of interaction, and based on law. On the same basis, the Tehran Declaration was devised. As a matter of fact, the Tehran Declaration was on the basis of Mr. Obama's request. He had requested the Brazilian president and the Turkish prime minister. That's what he had wanted, and that was part of the negotiation. When they had nothing to say, like in the past and based on the bad manners that ruling powers usually have, instead of favoring the Tehran Declaration, they moved toward passing a resolution against us. After resolution, immediately they had a statement that said we wanted to have talks. Very well, today we say that, okay, we are here for talks, but the Tehran Declaration issue is a separate issue. That will go its own way and follow its own objectives, but with P5+1 we will negotiate. But the situation has changed. In the first place, they wanted to raise a stick through their arrogant ways so that they could have the upper hand in the talks in their own eyes. Well, we were in the middle of talks. The Tehran Declaration was part of those talks, and it was very successful. Well, you stirred the situation, you disrupted it, and you thought that Iran's logic and the logic of the declaration is a strong one, and you have nothing to say against it. Then you went and took shelter with that discriminatory point, that's the UN Security Council, where you have the veto power. Then you issued a resolution, and so that you, in your thought, could have an upper hand. We call this something immoral. Because you did something immoral, therefore, we will delay the talks. The negotiations will happen in the middle of, toward the second half of the holy months of Ramadan. This is kind of fining them, actually, a penalty for them, so they need to learn to behave themselves when they want to embark on talking with world nations. They need to learn to behave. Then, for world people, they need to clarify certain issues. Okay, they want to have talks with us. Very well, fine. We want to know their opinions about several issues. First of all, what's their opinion about the atomic bomb at the hands of the Zionist regime? Anyone who wants to enter talk with us, they should announce, are they for this or against this? Talks will be based on their opinions. We will regulate them based on their opinion. With those who agree with the existence of atomic bombs at the hands of the Zionist regime, we will have certain kind of talks, and with those who oppose it, we will have another kind of talks. And secondly, they should also announce if they want to join and abide by the NPT regulations or not. The meeting was held. Lots of hype, media hype was there in New York after years of pains, and the NPT regulations were completed and were kind of corrected as some universal regulations. Those who want to enter talks with us, they need to expressly announce, do they want to abide by this global ratification? Those who want to abide by that, we will enter talks with them in a special way, and those who do not want to, we will talk to them in a different way. Now, the third point is, those who want to enter talks with us, they need to announce what are they going after in the talks? What's the purpose of the talks? Do they want to make friends with us, or they want to keep being inimical toward us? Those who want to be our friends will have our own way, and those who want to continue enmity toward us, we will have another way dealing with them. Therefore, all these issues need to be clarified expressly. From the second half of the holy months of Ramadan, then we will be ready for the talks. Now, the combination of the negotiators should also change. 5 countries that are actually themselves possess this unjust veto power. Nobody can complain against them. They themselves file complaints, they themselves issue a verdict, they execute them themselves. There is this tyrannical, unilateral relation. Who has said that P5+1 should be there only for talks? There are also other parties that can enter these talks and must be present there. At the same time, they need to expressly announce that if they want to follow logic and reasoning, or they want to use this bullying logic. Previous experience shows anytime we started talks with them, as soon as they had nothing logical to say, they immediately resorted to bullying. They should also announce this. With those that want to use their bullying and the power of force and to embark on negotiations will have our own way, and those who want to act based on law and logic will have our own way of dealing with them. I think the continuation of talks requires that the other party for the talks with us in the first place, they need to clearly announce their opinions regarding these questions that I mentioned. These are not obstacles to talks. They will kind of regulate the talks. At the same time, they should also know that talks, there is no talks between P5+1 with Iran. There are also some other parties that need to be involved and will take part in the talks. The negotiations will deal with issues related to various issues related to mankind and common problems. The agenda will be the preoccupations and problems that are shared in Iran's letter and the proposed package that Iran presented. We have clearly referred to all these points.